Good morning. Good morning. If you will find a seat, I think we're ready to begin. Thank you all for coming today. DMEA is getting ready to hold their Board of Directors election and asked us if we would be one of the hosts for a candidate forum. So that's what's happening today. Hopefully it's going to run real smoothly. We're going to start out with a few words from Kyle Martinez, who is president of the board, and he's going to talk about the function and importance of the board. I think all of us, if we stop to think about DMEA and power, realize how important that all is. We were talking before everyone came in about cybersecurity now and rolling brownouts, and now that there are going to be electric cars, what does that look like for the grid? It's a really important thing, and those of you who have lived here for a while know that there have been a lot of changes. They pulled away from Tri-State, they hooked up with Guzman, they're trying to up the amount of renewable energy. There's lots happening at DMEA, and your vote is important, and that's why we want to thank you for being here today. So first, a few words about Kyle. When I read this list, I thought, I wonder when he sleeps. And he's also babysitting this morning.
You don't babysit your own kids.
Oh, he has someone else with him today. He is the CEO of Touch of Care Hospice. He's co-owner of Black Canyon Tickets. He is a farmer and a rancher under the title Martinez Farms LLC. He served on the board for Tri-State for 3 years. He got a bachelor's degree from CU Boulder, a master's degree from CSU Global. He was appointed to the Governor's Advisory Council for Cooperation and Implementation, that's quite a title, and the Governor's Economic Stabilization Growth Council Energy Committee. So he's a busy man. And I asked him at the last minute if he would step in and kind of get things rolling, and he agreed to do that. So Kyle, you're welcome to bring your daughter up too. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, and I want to thank you for having DMEA and allowing us to have our candidate forum here. So when I think about the importance of DMEA in this community, I think about the reasons why I wanted to be on this board. When I ran, they asked you, what is it that is important to you? Why do you want to be on this board? And I remember telling people that I don't want our best export to be Olathe sweet corn. I want us to be able to figure out how to grow the best children and keep them in this community, because we do a really good job of raising people around here, but they all leave. We haven't really found a ton of reasons to bring younger folks back to Montrose, Olathe, Delta. So in the 8 years that I've been on the board, what are some of the decisions that the board has made that really impacts this community? And I think Kathy spoke about it earlier about we started Elevate. We got away from our Tri-State contract. So why is that important? Well, that's huge. If you look at the amount of savings that the co-op now experiences because of our new power contract, we are leaps and bounds ahead of other power utilities in Colorado and around the United States. So I'd stack our wholesale power costs up against just about anybody and say that we're pretty darn competitive. So what does that mean for you? Well, that's why we haven't had rate increases in 4 or 5 years. We're hoping and anticipating not to have some for a while, but I don't want to say, hey, we'll never have a rate increase again, because then tomorrow I'd wake up and we'd have a rate increase. So running for this board and being a part of this board is very important to our community, because you do get to make decisions that impact the pocketbooks of the people in this community. And so when we're sitting at the board table, we have to think about the folks that are at the end of the line, the folks that are living on fixed incomes, as well as how do we entertain and bring in businesses here that we don't have already. And part of why the board went into Elevate, let's see, it had to be 6-7 years ago, was because no one else was willing to bring in the type of internet that we needed to make our community competitive with Denver or Longmont or some of those places. So bringing in Elevate allowed us to be competitive with some of our front range cities, but we were able to do it in a way that has a plan to bring it to everybody in our community. And if you look at a lot of internet providers, they're not going to serve where I live in Olathe, and they're not going to serve where some of our rural folks, like some of our other board members, live in Delta, Hotchkiss, Paonia. So I think it's pretty darn cool today that the town of Olathe is a gig city. So I'm from Olathe, so obviously that's pretty important. So those are some of the decisions that the board members can make and have an impact on our community. So we do have some of our other board members that you won't meet today. We have Kevin Williams back here in the back. He's got his name badge on. He's doing a good job following these rules. Bill Patterson over here. And one of our newest board members, Emily Sanchez, who is coloring with Elizabeth. So that's all I have for you guys, and thank you for listening today.
Thank you. It's nice to see everybody. Some of you folks I know and some of you I don't. Emily, it's really nice to see you, our newly appointed board member. We're excited for that, for her to join us. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and for those that know me, I'll try to be quick about that so that I don't bore you. But my name is Damon Lockhart, and I serve in Delta District 6. And I've been a board member for 5.5 years, almost 6, and ready to go for re-election for my 3rd term. Tell you a little bit about how I got here. I'm originally from Nebraska and grew up mostly on the Front Range. My family were farmers from Nebraska and moved when I was small. I grew up on the Front Range and I ended up graduating from Alameda High School over there, and then I went to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, and I got my education stuff from my educational degree from Western State, and then I taught in Farmington, New Mexico for a couple of years. Went back, got my master's degree and my superintendent's license at New Mexico State, and then I got an offer to come be the math teacher and coach at Delta High School. So that's kind of how I got to Delta. My wife was a Delta High School graduate, and I coached her little brother and taught her little brother in school. Met my wife, and been here ever since. So dug my roots deep. I've been here 33 years now. I have 5 children in Delta. I have 2 that are in college and 3 in the pipeline. They're coming through. So at any rate, I had a great career in education, retired 5 years ago. Joined the DMEA board, and I'm excited about what we've done. I can tell you as a board member, it's important to me, and Kyle kind of stole some of my thunder, but it is important to me because I pay rates. And my dad pays rates. And my dad moved over here about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, has a small farm, retired from the Front Range. And so rates are important to people. People work hard for their money, and they like to know that they're getting value. So that's very important to me. The other piece is the growth and the development of our communities. So I'm gonna kind of highlight 3 of the big things that I feel are important decisions that were made over the last 5.5 years. And again, Kyle kind of mentioned them and brushed on them, but us getting out of Tri-State and our new partner, our power provider, Guzman, has been a great decision for this co-op. It's going to save our co-op a lot of money. over the next 12 years, or 10 years now, we're 2 years in. So it'll save us a lot of money. It'll also do some things for this community. They are able to bring more renewables. We're able to purchase more renewables. And with the legislation and what's happening nationwide and in the state, there's a lot of regulation and a lot of push for renewables. And we're able to get some of those and meet those demands and at a cheap rate. So we're going to talk about a few of those things. I'm going to visit with you about that. But a story that kind of hits me, that's important for me to tell. I'm really, really proud of Elevate. The subsidiary company's done some great things for this community. We have our grant writers and our DMEA and the Elevate folks have been able to get over $50 million in grant money for this community. That's huge for infrastructure. And I'll tell you a little story about a few years ago. My daughter was an excellent athlete, very good student as well, and she was aggressively trying to get straight A's, which she did. I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed with good kids. They got a lot of that from their mom, but she was a valedictorian at Delta High School, and I remember many times trying to help her with some homework and some different assignments that she had. And we had to drive to Delta High School and park our car right next to the high school so we could get the internet. So I live out in the country, and I'm not one of the fortunate ones yet. I don't have Elevate at my house. So we've got some wireless type things that we try to do our best with. But I remember going up to the high school at 10:30 at night to help my daughter finish and get her paper in, and she needed that internet. And when you think of small business and competition and the things that so many people are now working from home, that internet provides equality, fairness to our residents and our people that they need that. They need it for a lot of different reasons. And it's a huge piece. So I am excited. I think I will probably get internet from Elevate, I believe, at the end of this summer. So I'm on one of the reconnect areas, and I'm really proud of that those folks got $50 million for us to build that infrastructure out. So when I think of the numbers and I look at Elevate, we've already passed about 25,000 meters. And that's got about 12,600 members already. By 2026, it's predictable that we will pass 95% of all of our membership. That's a huge piece. I mean, that's a success story, a Colorado success story, maybe even regionally a huge piece. This is great internet. Elevate has fast speeds, and they're changing some lives for some people. Some access to that availability is very, very important. So obviously I'm proud of that decision and the growth that Elevate has made. I want to talk to you a little bit about the solar project that's at Garnet Mesa. That's had a little controversy, but went through the processes in Delta County and the Planning Commission and the county commissioners, and we're fortunate to be able to, in the future, have about 16 megawatts that we'll be able to purchase from that solar farm. And so we're excited about that. That's going to be another important piece, local energy. Thank you. So at any rate, I'm proud of that decision, being out of Tri-State, Elevate, that solar project at Garnet Mesa. I also wanted to tell you that I serve on CREA. So I've been to Denver over the last five years. I've been there about 50 times. And I serve on the budget committee over there, and I take classes. I've learned a lot. I'm not an expert in everything, but I learn, and I'm willing to work hard to serve you. So Appreciate the time to speak with you, and I'll stick around afterwards if you have any questions. And so thank you very much. Appreciate you being here and giving me the opportunity to speak to you.
Okay, can you hear me? My name's Mark Youngworth. I live in Delta. I farm and ranch, raise cattle and hay mostly. My history, I guess, goes back to, I was born in Iowa, but lived in Colorado since I was 10. Was in the Air Force in '71 and at NORAD Cheyenne Mountain. And once I got out of the Air Force, I went into the, well, I became a Boilermaker. Not a football team Boilermaker, but Boilermaker iron worker type job. And worked on the power plants up in Craig, building those. Up in North Dakota, down at Four Corners. Those are all coal-fired power plants. Worked on a nuclear power plant at Idaho Test Center in Idaho. Hydro plants. So I had the opportunity to work with electricity and the different types. At that time, we didn't have solar or wind at that point, so we've done that one. But I went to college then, and after that went to work for the second biggest computer company in the world, and we did networking. In fact, it was the first company to ever network computers together. I then went to work after that for Oracle Corporation, which was a database company and software. And I worked at that for a number of years till I retired from there.
District office, this is Heidi.
I also belonged, when I was on the East Slope, I belonged to Mountain View Electric Association, which is similar to DMEA, and that was a real good experience. You know, I think these electrical associations are really the lifeblood of everything but downtown Denver. You know, they supply power to places that, you know, that not that many years ago you just couldn't get it, and it became difficult. So DMEA is doing a great job of that, I think, at this point. I think that the important pieces are affordability for the members, the dependability. We need to know that we can get the power and have the power that we need, unlike where we were talking about, mentioned about, you know, California with the brownouts. We need to make sure we have that. And then basically, we need to make sure that we're doing it in a manner that is good for the environment, good for the people overall. Just doing one piece and supplying power, if we're doing it at a cost to the environment, to the people, either in the cost, whatever it is, it's just not an acceptable thing at that point. The solar is great. I think that was nice that they got involved in that. It was nice that they were involved with the uncooperative water users in hydro. some of the hydro projects. That's a great thing. The things we got to make sure is that when we do these things that we have a way to recycle too at the same time. Some of these, you know, there's been a lot of solar's gone out and wind and things, but we haven't made plans for recycling. So it ends up in a landfill. We're using more land for that than need be. If we would make sure that some of our suppliers or whatever would make sure they recycle, whether it's the solar ones, whether it's batteries for cars, you know, we need that. It's not our responsibility here, but I believe partners need to have that same need for responsibility to take care of those things, to make sure that we have something to do other than dump it into a landfill, because they're taking up space and they're not doing anybody any good. And they're starting to change that in some locations, but that type of thing. Let me see. As far as strengths of DMEA, I believe that they've gone out and got involved in pieces that supply the solar, supply the hydro. I think those are the ways of the future. You're still going to have coal-fired power plants for some time, or natural gas-fired, unless, of course, we can find some means of there's probably some other things that are going to happen. I suspect and believe that small nuclear plants will become something in the future. I don't know when that may be. It may be 50 years from now, but you're probably going to see those type of things at someone's home or in their neighborhoods. Very small, compact, safe. Don't know when that'll be. But that's looking out into the future and going with that. Other than that, I believe DMEA's been doing a good job. I appreciate being a member of it, and I think it's really, I guess that's it.
Comments are going to be short to give other candidates some time. Speaking of recycling, there's a company that's a shoot-off from Tesla in Reno that recycles car batteries, but the problem is the electric car batteries have been lasting so long they don't have the volume yet to ramp up their project. I appreciate you supporting me since I'm unopposed. I appreciate that. Having been director over the past 3 years, I feel very comfortable representing District 7 for another 3 years. The orientation is incredible. Emily just got an experience on orientation, running and riding up into a timber cutting truck up 50, 60 feet. So there's a lot of excitement with orientation, and I really appreciate all that education I got. In terms of other experiences in my background, I have had board experience with Public Land Partnership out of Montrose, Mesa County Medical Society, and currently I'm a board member of the Colorado Medical Society. My business experience comes from 32 years of operating a medical clinic in Grand Junction. I've been in Cedar Edge now for about 14 years, and that is my district, Cedar Edge and Orchard City. I'm running again to continue to utilize all I have learned in the past 3 years I really like the quote servant leadership model the co-op had that follows, and I really enjoy working with the CEO and other board members to help move the co-op forward in a forward way to complete our strategic initiatives. Improvements, I would like to increase our synergy between the board, the staff, the community, and I believe our current board is unified in those efforts. Challenges, the biggest challenges for DMEA are beneficial electrification and resource adequacy as we move our energy more into renewables. We also need to keep ongoing vigilance in cybersecurity, and we had a full-day conference yesterday as board members on cybersecurity, along with some other co-ops that were with us. And we're doing a great job in that. Unfortunately, we did have a hack in the past few years, but it was remediated, and we are in a much better position now. I want to give you confidence that we know what we're doing in terms of preventing that from happening again. We need to stay committed to making available optical high-speed internet for all our members, and I think about four to 5 months ago, I got high-speed internet in Cedar Mesa, and am very delighted with it, and would never switch to anything else. So I appreciate your confidence in my re-election for 3 years, but I want to reserve more time for other candidates. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Thank you for choosing to spend your morning here getting to know a little bit about some of the directors who are hoping to serve you on DMEA's board of directors. My name is Stacia Cannon, and a little bit about me is I am a farmer. I'm a business owner in Delta County. My husband, Harrison Top, and I have orchards in Paonia and Hotchkiss. We grow certified organic fruit and raise a small flock of sheep and have a few dogs and horses and a whole menagerie of animals. So I'm running for re-election to DMEA's board of directors. I currently serve the North Region, and it's been a real honor and privilege, and I hope to continue. I am originally from a small town in Wisconsin. I moved to Colorado to attend Colorado State University. I have a degree in equine science with a minor in business. After graduating from CSU, I moved to the Western Slope in 2017 with my now husband. We moved over here to manage the orchard. He brought me over here on a date once, and I said, I'm not leaving, we're moving here. Since we moved here in 2017, we've expanded our orchard operations from that one initial orchard to now owning 3 commercial orchards, and we also manage a 4th in Paonia. My husband and I, we're very active in our community. We are very committed to doing what we can to make this already incredible place a great place for us to live and raise our family. I've served on various boards dedicated to our small towns and agricultural heritage, protecting our water and other natural resources, and improving the overall quality of life of all of the community members. Some of the boards I've participated on include Colorado West Land Trust, Club 20's Public Lands and Natural Resources Advisory Committee. I've also served on Fire Mountain Canal, Water and Ditch Company, and of course DMEA and Elevate. As far as strengths for DMEA, I think we have many. I think we have a really strong dynamic co-op. One that I'd like to highlight is that we are a locally owned member cooperative. So this is really important because the decisions that we make are on behalf of, I'm assuming all of you here are members, so it's on behalf of you, and to make sure that our local communities are the priority and that we're taking care of us first, rather than the benefit of some outside entity that's reaping the profits. I've been on the board for about 4 years. In that time, as Kyle and some of the other directors touched on, we've made some pretty groundbreaking, transformative changes that have been the topic of conversation and criticism over the years, and luckily they've panned out to have really improved the quality of life for our membership here. Despite high inflation and volatility in the economy, DMEA has been able to maintain member rates and keep them stable. We've also retired capital credits back to the membership for the first time in 7 years. We've started a nationally recognized broadband company, and all of this we've done while maintaining a really strong financial position. I'm proud of DMEA because I know that we are a cooperative that is strong, dynamic, and we are well positioned to continue to serve our local communities for the years to come. Now I want to talk about areas of improvement. If you ever attend a board meeting, I'm always looking for ways to improve. I'm a little outspoken sometimes about my opinion when it comes to things that I think we can do better, but really I'm funneling that from what I hear from the membership, and it really boils down to three things. Based on the feedback from the members, what I hear is that they want greater engagement and choice. Member engagement, we serve over 30,000 members across Delta and Montrose counties, and all of those members have unique needs, expectations, and sometimes conflicting wants and desires from their cooperative. I think the staff needs to continue, and board needs to continue to have conversations with our membership to understand what their expectations are and come to the table with unique decisions for them to choose what's best for their unique situation. The second area that I see that we need some improvement on is transparency and sharing of information. I think DMEA does a really good job of sharing information with the board members and with staff, but there are times when the community is left out and they feel a little like they need more information. We have been making changes over the past year or so to try to be more inclusive and try to offer more information to the membership, including allowing community members to attend our board meetings via Zoom if it's more convenient than traveling to Montrose to attend in person. We've also held a board meeting in Delta County as opposed to just having them in Montrose County. We've held them there too so that the Delta residents aren't left out. And we've also started posting some of our meeting materials online for the membership to review, and I believe we're the only co-op in the state of Colorado that's currently doing that. But again, I think we can do more. I was recently on United Power's website, and they're definitely a leader in the industry, not only for the state, but nationally, and they really can offer a plethora of information for the membership and the public to review. One of the things they offer is what's called a cooperative roadmap, and it's a really comprehensive strategic outline of where they've been, where they are, and where they want to go. I think that I would really like DMEA to develop something like that so that when the membership has questions or they want to know where we're headed and what's next, there's no question, it's available. The third area of improvement, I'm not actually sure I'd call an area of improvement, but it is something that I hear about the most from the membership, so I want to address it here, and that's Elevate. I'd say this is more of a work in progress. Elevate provides top quality broadband to all, the members in Montrose and Delta County, but not all of them. As a director, this is the #1 call I receive, people saying, why don't I have Elevate, when's it coming, how come I don't have it, and I am right there with them, I don't have Elevate either, I'm on Rogers Mesa, and I have no idea when it's coming, but it's coming. So folks really want it, they really need it, and I believe that all of the members of DMEA deserve it. So again, I don't think that's necessarily an area of improvement, but just know it's coming. Zooming out from some of our local challenges, I believe some of the biggest challenges in the energy industry on a more national level include the lack of flexibility and inclusivity within our power systems. Moving electrons from point A to point B is really the easiest part about the energy industry. It's all those proverbial hoops that the electrons have to jump through in order to get from point A to point B that really complicates it. So I think that that's something that in the industry we're going to continue to come up against and need to hopefully find some resolution for. Not to mention all of the bottlenecks, transmission issues, aging and outdated infrastructure, supply chain disruptions, regulatory fluctuations. There's so many challenges and opportunities that I see, and that's why I really love being a part of this board. So to close, I want to tell you why I'm running for re-election to my seat on DMEA's board of directors and why I ask that you support me with your vote. And that's because I really love this work. In my free time, I'm reading about the energy industry, I'm reading about the economy, I'm listening to podcasts about psychology in small towns and what keeps them thriving. I'm talking to industry and thought leaders about precision agriculture and technology and water conservation and policy and so much more. And I was doing all of this before I got on the board of DMEA. So I don't know if the board was prepared for my level of passion in this when I joined. I'm running to retain my seat because I'm familiar with the risks, challenges, and opportunities that come with volatile industries like agriculture and energy. And I'm also, again, I'm passionate about these things. And I think that membership deserves a board member who is who wants to serve on their behalf with passion and without an agenda. So I take a lot of pride in what we've accomplished, and I think that DMEA is doing an incredible job, and I ask for your vote to allow me to continue to serve you. Thank you.
Good morning, Paul Schweitzer. I think there are two issues for me to address. What would I like to do at DMEA? The answer is, I offer to serve on the board of DMEA for the benefit of members who want affordable and reliable electricity. Those are the first words in the bylaws, and that's my entire platform. I want to serve the members who want affordable and reliable electricity. Then I think the next question is, what are my qualifications to do that? My fundamental characteristics are, I'm an analyst. I have an analytical skill. I'm an analyst and a numbers guy. Give me the economic constraints and the information, and I can provide a good direction on the best options. I have a lot of experience as a senior manager with a career in business, finance, and corporate insurance. I'm honest and hardworking. I have a lot of academic background with broad knowledge. My resume reads like this. I came from Delta High School, where I was student body president, where I was valedictorian. I attended Colorado College in Colorado Springs, a liberal arts school. Then I went to a university in Chile, in Valparaíso. Hablo español para quien me interese. I became an insurance underwriter for the people who decide yes or no about accepting insuring a business. I worked in San Francisco, Houston, Chicago, New York City, and the World Trade Center before the terror next day. I have a designation called Chartered Property Casualty Underwriter, equivalent to a CPA or an accountant. A big part of working in insurance with the insurance company, not an insurance sales rep, is managing risk. Insurance companies want to reduce risk, and they want to manage it. One way is a thing called reinsurance, where they share information. I believe that's my second greatest contribution to DMEA, reducing the risk. If DMEA loses its supplier, for a number of reasons, could be something like Enron, where a supplier suddenly disappears. I think that's a key thing for a board member to worry about. After leaving New York City, I went to Brazil, where I worked as branch manager in Rio de Janeiro, and was also manager of a region that included other offices in that country. With big customers, Sony Music, Coca-Cola, Caterpillar, petroleum refineries. I've been to many physical facilities, places that make cement, offshore oil platforms. In Brazil, I was part of the executive leadership team of the second largest insurance broker in the world. So every week I would fly to Sao Paulo for the executive meetings. I told you I have an academic bent. In Brazil, I wrote the liability insurance textbook that's used by the Brazilian Insurance Institute. I had wonderful jobs there, so you could ask, why give up living on the beach of Copacabana to return to live here in the hinterlands? Well, my driver carried a gun. And every day he would drive me to work a different route to try to foil the kidnappers. 3 of my friends had been kidnapped. One was with the son of Juan Born from Argentina. He paid the highest ransom that's ever been paid. In today's money, $300 million. Every night we heard at least 10 gunshots. We lived in a really nice apartment in a really nice neighborhood, but On one occasion, I had a knife here and a knife here, so it was easy for me to hand over my wallet. Another occasion, I was in a bus and somebody's face was slammed up against the window next to me. So I looked and there was a gun on the other side of his head. Sometimes I saw bad things that seemed to be coming my way. The best thing to do was run as fast as I could, as far as I could. I learned that from a friend who had a black belt degree in karate. It's a lot easier to run than to fight anyway. So, I moved home to Delta. I live in the same house that I'm the fourth generation to live in our house. Our big, beautiful farm surrounds Schweitzer Lake. My grandfather was the person who donated Schweitzer Lake. So now, I live a simple life, work harder than ever, and I'm happier than ever. But enough about me. I'm not important. The reason I offer to serve on the DMEA board is for you and other members. Again, the only reason I offer to serve on the board is to help members keep getting affordable, reliable electricity. Anybody who would like to reach me, my email is easy, the same as my name, paulschweitzer@yahoo.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for coming. Thanks to additional board members for coming. We usually open things up to Q&A at this point, but in order to be fair and equitable, every one of these people would have to answer each question. So instead of doing that, we're going to quit a little early. And if you have questions for any of these people, there's plenty of time between now and 9 o'clock to do that. I would like to close by encouraging you to vote. There is going to be a ballot, if it hasn't arrived already, arriving shortly at your home. You can mail it in, drop the ballot off at the DMEA office. They have a secure drop box. Or you can vote in person at their annual meeting. Voting will close, I think, just prior to the start of their annual meeting, time-wise that day. So lots of opportunities to vote. I know this doesn't have the glitz and glamour of some other elections, but it is important. And it's important that you came today, that you got to hear from the candidates, and that you are certainly a more informed voter. In terms of next week, before we call things to a halt, Barbara's going to talk about what's coming up.
Thanks, Kathy. Next week, we're going to have a slate of folks here to talk a little bit about what goes into planning